Well, good morning. This past Sunday, we looked a little further through chapter 1 and into chapter 2 of the book of Malachi. As we mentioned in the first part of that book, God starts with the fact that He loves them and defended that. Before He got into correcting them for the things that they had done wrong, the reason why some of the issues they were facing were in front of them, and part of it was because of their own behavior. He gets into that here a little more in chapter 2. But one of the things that we notice is that a lot of it is about their worship, how they're worshiping God, the lazy and contemptuous worship that they're offering, the fact they're offering blind sacrifices and lame animals, and the fact that He's even saying, I wish someone would stand up and lock the gate so they could not kindle this useless fire on my altar. Their worship was not correct. There was no heart in it. There was no desire in it. And that all went back to the priest. And so He first calls out the priest for the way in which they were living and the sacrifices they were offering. And we'll see as we get over into chapter 3, the first ones that He decides are going to be refined and going to be purified is the priesthood, because that's where the leadership starts on how they're going to be worshiping God and how the people are going to be living. So He focuses in on that leadership. And that's something that's important for us to understand today as we think of our corporate worship as well. Yes, we should have individual worship in our lives where we're worshiping Him through our own prayer and Bible study and the lifestyle that we're living and the service we're offering to Him. But there's also that important component of corporate worship and the leadership in that. And yes, the leadership in our corporate worship can shape the rest of our lives in the direction with which our faith goes. And so it's such an important part of who we are as believers, that corporate worship that we have. And so when we look around today, we see a lot of the same issues that they were having in the book of Malachi. Not as much the exact same actions, because we're not offering sacrifices and doing those things, but we are experiencing some of the same moral lapses, some of the same heart issues that they were facing then. We can look around even in our own denomination and begin to see a lot of the issues that have happened. We see leaders in the churches, pastors and staff, we see them getting arrested for embezzling money. We see them having to resign because of adultery. We see them either committing or covering up sexual misconduct, especially among children. We see those things taking place and the problems that it causes and the moral rot and decay that we see in our churches because of that. And the fact of how the outside world looks at us as believers because those things are happening. And so leadership is so important in that. Are we leading towards good lifestyles and good corporate worship of God? And so He holds them to the fire, and we should do that today. We should hold our leaders accountable, both on the church level, on the denominational level, and national level. We should hold our leaders accountable for the things that they're teaching and the things that they are doing. Paul spoke of this when he mentioned the Bereans and talked about how they were of noble character because they listened to what he said and they tested it to make sure that it was correct. They were not going to just listen to something only because Paul said it. They wanted to make sure that Paul was teaching what was right and was being held accountable for that. We need to hold our leaders accountable, that they are teaching the right things. We're not just blindly believing them, but also that they're living the right type of life. There's no one that's too big to call out for the wrong actions or the wrong behavior. And so, because it does affect something bigger, it's bigger than just that person. It affects the rest of the Christian community, and it affects our witness to a world that's already skeptical. And every time they see errant teaching, or every time they see moral failure, it drives them further away from the truth and further away from salvation. And so it's so important that we work together to hold ourselves accountable, to hold each other accountable, to hold leadership accountable, that we are putting forward the best worship that we can offer to God, worship that is true, worship that is in the Spirit, so that we are in a good relationship with Him and we have a good witness to the world around us. I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Thanks for checking this out, and hope to see you on Sunday. God bless.